welcome back. Um, and so that situation passed, and then I got into another situation, and this was quite severe because there was some issue with another school, and and I can't remember how I got involved in it, but the school I then went to after I left my first school, the students were going home after school one day, and for some reason, very uncharacteristic of me, because I like to be out of the gates quick time, but I had to stay back for some reason, and about 10, 15 minutes later, a lot of students ran back to the school, and they had been attacked by people who had knives and stones, and some guys had a can of petrol and a tire, and they said that they were looking for me, that they were going to burn me that day. Now, that day also, I didn't have a weapon. I didn't have a knife, which I used to take to school as part of my uniform, and I was very, very happy because and I was very happy because I thought, well, if I could get out there, then I'd be attacked by more than one person, and then I could kill somebody. And I won't lie to you, I really wanted to kill somebody. I don't know why, but I really, really wanted to kill somebody. I really did. So there was a guy who was in the school, and I managed to get a knife from somewhere, and a friend of mine, he just said, "No way, you're not going out there. You're not going out there." And he went and told the principal that I was about to leave. So I was locked in the I was locked in the staff room, or locked in an office or something, and I couldn't go out there, you know. But some of the guys some of the people took a beating that day, and the police were involved and all of that kind of stuff, um, and it was just getting crazy, and my parents now some of this stuff my parents don't know, but my general behavior at home, I wasn't rude to my parents or anything, but things were just going crazy. My father just didn't know what to do with me one summer. He went to a particular police station near the house, and he booked me in there to spend the summer there. I spent a number of days there. I hadn't committed any crime, but he just thought I was out of control, and I was there, and I remember I used this small cell. I was the only one in the cell at the time, and then other people came, and in the morning there's nothing to do. It's a very small cell. You can't even go for a walk within it, and you couldn't even stretch your arms. That's how small it was. And they give us bread in the morning, a loaf of bread in the morning, and I was there for a number of days, and then my parents considered that maybe they should send me to a borstal, some sort of remand thing, uh, because they didn't know what was going on with me, and then they used to take me to churches to be prayed for, and these pastors would say I need to stay here for 7 days and 8 days and one day or 10 days, and I went to one particular church, and from one week it was going into like weeks, and then it was going into months, and it happened around the time when they had the Ayo Masquerade thing, and I went off and got involved in that sort of stuff on two occasions actually. The first time I went, I came back in the night and I started to terrorize people in the neighborhood. I went to a few houses and people nearly died of shock, see this thing in white just burst into your living room, which I did, and the second time, I was in this church, and in the church they had people like who were sick, who maybe the hospitals didn't have anything, know what to do with them, and they come to be paid for, and the pastor lived in the compound, the church was in the compound, and then the people who were under protection, who came for this prayer thing, who so we're all living in there kind of thing, and all we did was pray, and I got bored, so I went to do this thing. They didn't know I went, and when I came back, just around the corner from the church, I put my regalia on again, and I went into the church, and the pastor fled, left his family, everybody, the people caring for the sick and praying for the sick, they fled in another direction. Oh my days, it was terrible. It was really, really bad. I don't recommend it. It was really, really bad. It was really bad, and things were just, my life was, I mean, some people were really far worse than I was, but from by my standards, things were pretty much out of control. And of course, after that, they just, well, you need to leave. you know. And I went to quite a few places. My parents even took me to one place in Badagry, you know. This church, they said they pray for problem people and all of that kind of stuff, you know. And in the daytime they'd send us into, because they had a pig farm, and we'd go into the woods to track down pigs and to cut down trees. And yeah, it was quite interesting, that one. I loved cutting down the trees, you know. It was the pig thing I wasn't too keen on. But I was there for some time, a couple of weeks, you know, and my parents were trying to sort this child out. What was wrong with me? They didn't understand, because it was completely different to my core nature, you know, and all of this was going on, and things were really getting crazy. There's so many things that some things I can't remember now, and some things I'm not even gonna put out on air, you know. But we, you know, and I used to roll out with a crew of people, and then some of these people too. You'd be sitting at home one afternoon after school, 4 o'clock news or 6 o'clock news, and then you see your schoolmate or your classmate in shackles because in the middle of the night he went to do armed robbery and he was caught, you know. And some of the people that showed on TV were people that came from decent homes, and some of them were people I rolled with, you know. And it was crazy. I didn't get into any of that stuff at all, you know, but I knew that people were hustling hard, you know, and stuff like that, you know. So they wore uniforms by day and they were armed robbers by night. Some of them young people too, young people hustling, you know. Um, and then I think what happened, and all of this sort of stuff was going on. I can't remember any other stories right now, but I remember a particular situation. And then of course, you know, you get people who, you know, I got banned from certain places, I got banned from certain locations, I got banned from certain buildings. Some people didn't want their children to be seen with me and all of that sort of rubbish, which is cool, you know. And it's quite funny when a parent is saying, I don't want you to influence my son, and you think, I know who your son is. You know. But there was all of that going on. But the incident that really changed, and this went on for a few years, you know, and brought calm to me, was one day, Saturday morning. I woke up around 7:30 in the morning, and I just wanted to get high. You know, I just wanted to get high. Now, I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes. I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes. I was a chronic smoker. But weed, you know, as and when, I wasn't really too into it like that. But this morning, I went to see my friends, you know, the ones who stole money from their father, and I got involved in the car thing with them. I went to their house. Now, we used to go to their house because the guy who used to supply the weed used to come and drop it off at their house, and he was their friend. Sometimes we used to go and pick up the supply, and sometimes he would come and drop it, and we'd all sit down there and would blaze, you know, if I felt up to it. And you know, I remember one of those occasions where I got into an argument with one of who person I'd consider my closest friend till I left Nigeria, and I nearly buried a rake in his skull because we had an altercation. You know, it was just crazy. In fact, going back to that, I remember a day that there was some issue with some guy from my school and some guy from another school, and we went with a bag of cutlasses, machetes, and knives and stupid, you know, to go to this place to go and fight. And it's just a miracle that we haven't killed. We didn't kill anyone. You know, it's just madness. You know, complete and utter madness. But that sort of thing was going on. But on this day, I woke up early in the morning, and by 8 o'clock I was out of my house. Boom, 8:30. But before 8:30, I was at their house, and I sat there and I was just building spliff, and I was just weeding, and I was blazing and blazing, and I was smoking. That day I was smoking hard. And my other mates, you know, part of the crew, we all met there together. You know, I was first there, and we were just blazing. I'd been smoking with no food in my belly, and I was smoking till about, I don't know, it was 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, I was just smoking. I was just blowing this thing. I was blowing hard, man. That particular day, I wanted to be really high. And so we ran out of weed, and we decided to go around to the house of our supplier to get some, you know. Now, he had a day job, but, you know, he picked up weed, and, you know, we bought it, you know, and we smoked it, you know. And what then happened was that, so we got up, and we were walking down the road. We walked on the road, and then we came into another street. And we turned into this other street, and on the left, so we were walking down, and I saw to the left, I saw a man who was my friend's father standing outside his house, and he had a top on with trousers, obviously, and I saw somebody walk past him, and I suddenly, with clothes on, and I suddenly decided that, these people are in bondage. I want to be free. So I took my shirt off, and the more I looked at them, the more I thought, these people, they're in bondage, and I want to be free. So I took my shirt off, and there were two conversations in my head going on in my head. One was saying, you're going mad, and the other says, no, I want to be free. And the more I looked at people walking by, and the more I observed them, I thought, these people are not at liberty. I just want to be free. So I had this conversation going in my head, and then it suddenly, I was hungry, very, very hungry, as you get when you get the munchies when you smoke. So I wanted to, so I decided I was going to eat something, and so I saw a bin, and I decided I was going to eat from the bin. And part of my wanting to eat from the bin was the argument. I was hungry, genuinely hungry, but the other thing is, I just felt that was freedom, that I just didn't want to be constrained by social norms and all of that sort of stuff. I just wanted to be free, and all this, you can't do this, you can't do that, I just wanted to be free. And so two conversations in my head, and one was saying, you're going mad, oh, and I was like, no, I'm not going mad. This is freedom, this is liberty, And I had a bit of a swag in the way I walked. Some people think I was like swagging because of something, because I was a guy. I was just trying to perform guy, but I wasn't being a guy. I was swagging. I swag. I don't know if I still do, because I've got a tilt in my leg. But people think I'm just trying to be a guy, but I'm not. I just have a tilt in my leg, and that's why I walk in a certain way that gives the impression that I'm swagging, But I was, swagging on that day, if you want to call it that. And I saw a bit. Now, my friends who I was walking with, they were like a few steps ahead of me, so they had no idea that this was going on with me. They had no idea whatsoever. And so I went and I saw a bin. And so when I got to the bin, I put my hand in, and I was thinking what to eat. I was trying to see what to eat. And just like about not even a stone throw, maybe a stone throw away from where I was standing, I just heard somebody call me, brother, please come. Now, because people thought I was volatile and a bit vicious and stuff like that, there were some places where people were afraid of me. They did fear me because they thought, this guy, stabs people and all of that, But I wasn't a fearsome character, but people thought I was, so they feared me, which is, I don't know, good, bad, whatever. And it was this young lady. This young lady lived in the house next to where the bin was, the house after where the bin was. And she was a tent that we have what we call the boys' quarter, the small house at the back, and then the main building. My friends lived in the main building, and this girl and her family were their tenants. So she was much younger than me, but she said, brother, please come. And I want, and I gave her audience, and as soon as I got to her, of course, I've been blazing, my eyes are hard, and my features are a bit harder than they are now. My features are very soft now, and she said, oh, don't be angry, but I want to say something to you. And I said, what do you want to say? What? That was my voice was quite deep at the time. And she says, and this is what she said. Now, I was very, very high. And then she said to me, she says, I just want to tell you that if you walk with dogs, you're going to eat doo-doo. Now, she said it in our language, in Yoruba language, but that's basically what she said. And I can't explain to you till this day what happened. It's as ridiculous as Samson slaying Goliath with a stone. You throw a stone at a man and then he falls over, a giant of a man. I mean, how big is a stone in your hand? David was a ruddy boy, so, but that's the only thing I can equate it to, because the high just left me completely. I mean, absolutely completely. I was stone cold sober, like as if I had not been smoking at all. And my friends, who didn't know what was going on, they just kept on walking. They didn't look back to see where I was. And suddenly, I didn't even know what to say. I just said, thank you, and I walked off. And I had to run a bit to catch up with the group of people that I was with. And when I got to them, I said, I'm going home. They said, what's happening? Aren't you going? I said, no, I just want to go home. And I never walked again with those guys from that day. And I never smoked again. Well, once. I didn't even smoke it, I drank it. I made tea, you know. But after that day, and when I say I drank it, that was like over 10 years, possibly more than 10 years later, you know. But yeah, I never smoked again from that day, and I never walked with those guys again. That was it. I don't know what was in those words, but that was when my change began. And so I've got to finish here now, and then I'll continue in my next video. Thank you.